Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today, our multi-cloud happenings AskTom session. Today, we're really excited to talk about one workload, two clouds, and the magic in between. And hopefully you will find our discussion on multi-cloud today that relates to what you're going through, or hopefully answers, I should say, your questions. If you have more questions as we go through this presentation and discussion, please post those in Q&A. So my name, oh, by the way, I got to post this, of course. This is following is intended to outline our general production direction. It's for informational purposes only, and you cannot write this, whatever we say, in a contract. Okay, so my name is Tammy Bednar, and I'm a product manager, and I focus on our Exadata database services in the cloud. That's Cloud at Customer and Public Cloud, as well as our base database service that runs Enterprise and Standard Edition. With me today is my colleague, Suzanne Holliday. Hi, Suzanne.
Hey, Tammy, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining today. And our special guest is Julian Dontcheff, and I've known Julian for several years. I'm really excited always to have a conversation with Julian. So hi, Julian.
Hello.
And Julian is our managing director and global database lead at Accenture. So we are always welcome to Julian's ideas and his thoughts and his direction to help us all create and deliver great solutions wherever those may be. And today, of course, we're talking about multi-cloud. So when we talk about, there are lots of flexible architectures, I should say, with multi-cloud, where you can run full stack applications within Oracle OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or another public cloud, and then share information or exchange information between them through the networking. The other kind of architecture we're talking about that we really want to focus on is what we call the split stack architecture or applications, where an application is running on a third-party cloud or a different cloud provider, and the database is running within Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So this allows you, our customers, to create a solution where you have your favorite applications already in another cloud provider, but really want to run the database or the back end on the Oracle database that's running in the Oracle Cloud. Now, we have a lot of great solutions, especially with the networking. We do have, you need low latency. Of course, whenever you're running any kind of application in the cloud, you're looking at the latency throughput. And, and you want a low latency, high networking throughput with the network connectivity to really achieve the application performance that you're looking for. And we have lots of solutions around that, as well as our database management options. Just as a really quick reminder, in case you don't know about our database options, on our starting at the easiest side of our cloud databases is Autonomous Database. It can run in a shared, or I should say serverless environment, as well as a dedicated Exadata fully managed database system, and it eliminates a lot of human error. By the way, I've been at Oracle for 27 years, and I definitely have had my share of making mistakes in the database that can be costly trying to repair those. So Autonomous Database automates a lot of the tasks. You don't have to be manual or hands-on to achieve those, and that does eliminate a chance for human error. And Exadata Autonomous Database runs any workload, any scale, and any kind of criticality of your database workloads. Then in the middle, we have our Exadata database service in the public cloud. Now, it's the most flexible because it does support pretty much any version of the database that you have today. It does run on a dedicated Exadata. So whatever resources from a compute storage that are allocated, they're dedicated to you. It is a co-managed system. You have full administrative control, and you can run all enterprise workloads. And by the way, in case you didn't know, we do provide the ability to run autonomous database and then Exadata databases on the same Exadata system in the cloud. So that makes it really easy and flexible for you to choose which kind of database, whether you want a fully managed or a co-managed database to run your application. And then finally, base database service is more of our traditional cloud environment. It runs on virtual machines or VMs on shared compute. It's also co-managed, but we do have some automation to provide maintenance updates. You do have full administrative control, and then all database features that you're using today, probably maybe on premises, are included with base database service, including our HA feature, real application clusters. Okay, so with that, I wanted to get us to really the meat of our presentation today, on talking about different use cases and also some questions around these use cases. So Suzanne, you want to start us off today?
Hi, Tammy. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Definitely. So we've got the first use case, and we've chosen a topic on why run the Oracle database on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure in a multi-cloud split stack architecture. Now, Oracle is working very, very closely with many multitude of multi-cloud customers. And we recently commissioned an S&P Global Market Intelligence report, which states fresh information that 98% of enterprises surveyed are using or plan to use at least 2 or more cloud infrastructure providers, okay? And on that note, we really would like to put some questions forward to Julian because of its relevance on cloud computing today, as to how customers are dealing with these challenges and the advantages of running the Oracle database on OCI, because as we all know, Oracle runs in many other clouds as well. So let's go ahead. Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Thank you very much, Suzanne. So let me start. I already got introduced. I lead globally the database platforms of Accenture. Why multi-cloud and why clients would run the Oracle database in a multi-cloud environment? So first, I would like to mention that, which is something which is probably a fact for most of you, multi-cloud is the new normal. Suzanne mentioned a while ago that 98% of enterprises, they survey that they're using at least 2 clouds. But more than 90% of enterprise clients have already initiated the journey to cloud. Not to mention that 84% have a multi-cloud strategy, not running on multi-cloud, but have a multi-cloud strategy. That means almost 9 out of 10. And 82% of enterprises, they're already adopting the hybrid strategy. So 96% reported using at least 2 clouds, and about half of them are using 5 or more SaaS providers. It is interesting to know that 97% use or plan to use cloud management platforms. So the question probably comes, what drives demand for multi-cloud? We figured out that COVID-19 pandemic was a strong driver for the cloud technology, and cloud boomed when COVID boomed as well. And for multi-cloud specifically, the top drivers for the enterprises are, I would say there are 2 main drivers. One is data sovereignty. 41% consider it as the most important driver, and the second one is the cost optimization. What else? Other drivers would be the business agility, innovation. Another one would be the best breed cloud services and applications provided, and then also the vendor lock-in concerns. Some of them have vendor lock-in concerns, about 25%. Every 4th company is a bit reluctant to go to one single cloud. So multi-cloud is here to stay. The most frequently noted anticipated features use cases would include the data redundancy, data mobility, and cost optimization. And the interesting question was, how is OCI and the Oracle database part of that? Why would the clients would like to run Oracle database on OCI? Well, I would say that there are 6 important factors. and the first one is Oracle on Oracle. Oracle is used by approximately 95% of our clients, of the Accenture clients. And here, I mean, the top Accenture clients, say, we're talking here about the Fortune 500 clients. And we have witnessed that 4 to 8 times faster for Oracle workloads are on Oracle Cloud, on OCI. And especially clients that run Oracle applications, like eBusiness Suite, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, Siebel, Oracle Retail, on-prem with SaaS play in the long run is the option. Also, another important thing why we want to run Oracle workloads is the high data egress. Probably we can discuss that, Tammy and Suzanne, a bit later, but clients with enterprise large database footprint with intensive data egress, they want to use, and they do use OCI. I can give a couple of examples which are probably public for everyone: Zoom and 8x8. One of them, the former save about 5 to 10 million per month, and the latter approximately 80% over Amazon, over AWS. Third one.
Oh, sorry, Julian, keep going.
Yeah, let me list the 6 ones, and then
sorry. And then we'll go to the next question.
The third one is the high performance. So Oracle is 50% less expensive for double RAM and RDMA, and RAC is only certified to OCI. Fourth one is the data analytics on the cloud. So by consolidating all types of data, we're talking complex, simple, and making it accessible across multiple applications, data usage is expanded. Number 5 would be the XCC, Exadata Cloud Customer and Dedicated Region. And number 6 would be the mainframe cloudification. We've seen that clients trying to adopt open architectures, they can reduce by half the TCO, at least when they move to multi-cloud. Yes, please, Susan, you wanted to ask me something.
So just on that note, we just very much want to know, on the first question we're going to ask is, what drives multi-cloud?
What drives multi-cloud?
Yeah. Because, we've got, as you said, all these customers going to this model, but what are the compelling events? What's the drivers for it?
I would say first, number 1 would be the cost optimization. Clients would like to balance their expenditure on, especially on the database. And if we think of the Oracle database, consider running it, if you choose from between the 3 options, running it on OCI, on AWS, or on Azure. If you run it on Oracle Cloud, your subscriptions for the database would be twice cheaper than if you run the Oracle database on another cloud, on either AWS or Azure. Another one would be the data sovereignty. So Oracle is having the new strategy for sovereign cloud, which is coming, as far as I know, very soon to Germany and to Spain. And especially the European clients the public sector clients are extremely interested in the Oracle offering. Innovation on Oracle Cloud for the database would be another driver. A lot of the innovation can happen either from using autonomous database. If we want, we can discuss that topic a little bit, and we can double click on the topic of autonomous database, what automation is being used, what machine learning algorithms. And
we'll get to that one in just a second, Julian.
Just a second, I won't discuss it right now. And probably also the cloud lock-in concern. For example, if you have your database in the cloud on a system different than Oracle database, say Snowflake or Redshift, you probably will be in a bigger challenge to move your data out compared to having your data in an Oracle database. The Oracle database runs in several clouds. It runs on several operating systems and platforms. So and the tools that exist for moving Oracle data from one database to another are much more compared to any other database. So there are those factors which decrease the lock-in in the Oracle database. A lot of people might think the opposite, that Oracle is a lock-in, and that probably is a myth, which is probably evaporating soon with the cloud. But Oracle is less, for the Oracle database, is less a lock-in than any other database, in my opinion. And it is one reason also is the approach of Oracle having a lot of let's go Oracle database, a Swiss Army knife. It's a converged database. You can have everything in the database. You can have different models, different specialized database combined into one. You can have different types of analytics, and you can have all the new workload types. So if I can be more specific here, why the Oracle database makes sense compared to the other databases is that with the new MongoDB documents, with the Neo4j graphs, Elasticsearch, Spatial, all those exist in the Oracle database. If you think of analytics and if you think of Spark, ArangoDB, social graphs, locations, Snowflake, those lake houses, all those analytical workloads are possible in the Oracle database. They're possible even in the autonomous database with ADW. And the third type of workloads is the new workload types. The new workload types, I mean Kafka, microservices, the geo-distributed like Cassandra types, Internet of Things, think of DynamoDB, or even the blockchain database. You know that there are specialized database for blockchain, like Quantum Ledger database available from AWS. You have in the Oracle database the blockchain tables. You do not need a specialized database. So I would say those are the 3-4 main reasons why clients would be interested in using multi-cloud approach with the Oracle database included in it.
That's a really good point about our converged database and how we have now all these data types, all the modern data types that really most of the applications can use today. So I would encourage anybody that hasn't seen the latest our Oracle database and the kind of data types and all the types of applications that we can support in a single database is very useful, because it makes it much easier, of course, to administer the one type of database in several different ones, which kind of brings us to this next question, Julian, right? From a DBA point of view, what do you think the difference in managing and administering an Oracle database in multi-cloud versus a single cloud architecture?
Thanks for the interesting question. I, as a DBA, being DBA for so many years, this is a topic that probably is of high interest to me. I would say one thing about multi-cloud is that as a DBA, you probably need to learn more than one cloud. Of course, this is the challenge that DBAs are having nowadays, being administrators in couple of clouds, or 3 clouds, or 4 clouds. They need to learn how clouds operate. But what is very important for DBAs to take into account when they're using multi-cloud architecture is to concentrate on the applications. They need to figure out which applications are suitable for the multi-cloud architecture, how to split the stack. If you remember in 20 years ago, when before RAC, when there was Oracle Parallel Server, we needed to configure the applications in a way that one of the nodes is used for DML, the other node is used for reporting. It's something similar. I wouldn't say it's the same, but it's a very interesting approach of how you would like to split the application code. For example, if you have the logic of the application embedded into the Oracle database, and it is not in the Java code, it's not in the middleware side, then probably that would be a good candidate, because everything is in one. Thus, you can reduce the number of I/O requests by packaging the data into larger, fewer requests. So you eliminate a lot of ping pongs between the different clouds. And if we assume that the application runs on one cloud and the database on another, they should probably consider for new applications also how the business logic is embedded into the application. And this is something that an area which has been for years very hard for DBAs to collaborate with developers. We know how DBAs and developers are like a cat and mouse, and probably that continues until nowadays. I would say the DBAs very explicitly understand how databases operate. If there is a code, Oracle database uses PostgreSQL as its proprietary procedural language. So my recommendation would be that for new applications, try to check and make sure that the database, the business logic of the application is embedded into the database. And also, if it's already existing applications, there are several tools for the DBAs which can be used to identify which are good candidates for multi-cloud. One very common tool for DBAs is SQL Trace. It can very punctually count the wait stats using SQL net messages from client. You can also use some internal views like vSession stats. You can see how many Oracle net round trips exist from the client and to the client. And basically, that's one and probably the most important way how to identify if an application is ping-ponging the data between the different clouds. Another one at the very end, I would like to mention that it's a new thing in 23C called JSON relational duality. And I would like to discuss this briefly. This is new, part of the developer edition, and maybe Tammy and Suzanne, you can probably mention or tell us when we expect the whole release of 23C will be released. But now with JSON relational duality, basically it is views. You can create duality views to expose the relational data as JSON documents. What does this help? It allows both SQL, both query and DML operations to be performed using conventional SQL if you want, or you can directly do it using JSON. And it's a very new syntax in 23C. It's a create or replace JSON relational duality view. That's the command with what you create the duality views. However, there are two very important things you have to consider when creating applications using JSON duality. The first one is the primary keys, unique keys, and foreign keys, those integrity constraints, they must be defined for the table's underlying duality views. Otherwise, Oracle will raise an error, but they need not be enforced. That's the first one important to know. And the second thing is that the SQL data types, which are allowed for a column in a table underlying a duality view, it has to be a certain data type. Actually, I won't list them all, but the majority of the data types you would be using, like JSON, BLOP, CLOP, varchar, a raw Boolean date timestamp, those are supported. So if you have an unsupported column data type, there will be an error message. But however, I think those are restrictions that will be probably lifted in the next releases of Oracle. But for now, this is important for JSON. So JSON duality, it's one of probably, in my opinion, one of the best features of the upcoming release, which now, Tammy, over to you to tell us when to expect it.
Soon, very soon. So hold on to that thought. Okay, so why don't we go, Suzanne, I'm gonna go ahead and ask our next question.
There is one question in the chat I can see. It says one factor that we can consider the high availability with native Oracle RAC, which is not the same with other cloud services where they have to use the third-party tool to configure RAC. Yes, actually, you're perfectly right. RAC is only available and supported on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. No other cloud is supporting it. So you need to bypass the rule of how RAC works by using some either supported or unsupported mechanisms of software, which I would not recommend, and it's not the same. You can never mimic it the same way like Oracle have made it. Over to you, Suzanne.
Sure. Thank you, Julian. I think you imparted some great knowledge there, especially around the JSON relational duality in 23C. I just would like to add that with that, I think what makes it interesting for the multi-cloud use case when we release 23C on Safe database later this year, we're hoping safe harbor applies. But what would be interesting then is this interchange from the application tiers. So you can actually just very simply make a JSON object in a single round trip, and that would then reduce any or completely negate any need to make the round trips using SQL. So I think it's really exciting, those features coming up. So thank you for explaining the application side of things, and very important identifying the right candidates from an application code perspective. But when we look at on the database side, how is autonomous database and Oracle Exadata database service on dedicated infrastructure creating performance gains in a multi-cloud split stack architecture?
All right, let me split this question into two. First, for multi-cloud, our team in Accenture, we did a performance testing. Actually, we were one of the first beta testers to define and check how and what latency exists between the two clouds if you use the interconnect. between Oracle and Azure. So it's very important to understand how much this will affect the latency. And if you run the Oracle database either on Autonomous or on, and Autonomous runs on Exadata or on Exadata dedicated, for which most corporate clients who use mission or business critical applications are at the moment using, it is important to note that the latency is very, very low. Our test showed that the latency was, and we're talking here end-to-end latency, it was less than 2 milliseconds, about 1.6, I would say 1.6 seconds in average, which is almost negligible. So although someone might claim that those are two different clouds, I've heard this statement as well, still it's seamlessly one cloud, and with a latency of less than 2 milliseconds in a round trip between the two clouds, that's really nothing. So that won't be a problem with the performance. However, there are 3 steps to have success if you'd like to use either Autonomous Database or Exadata dedicated on OCI with an application, say, which runs on Microsoft Azure. You need 3 things, I said. So plan well, plan out the connections you need, document the list, and confirm you set them correctly. The second one is to avoid the overlap. So you may have to make sure that you determine the IP address space that you use for each piece of the puzzle and make sure that they don't overlap. And the third and most important thing is that's here, I remember where we made the mistake in the beginning. You need to start the connection process with Azure because you need to collect the service provider keys from Azure. I think we made a mistake that we first enabled fast connected Oracle and then express route at Azure, and we were wondering what is going on. But however, that was beta testing, it was a new product. So this is the third one you need to understand, that first you start with Azure and then with OCI.
I think that point about your network planning is absolutely essential. That's a really good point, Julian. Like planning your IP address, planning your slider blocks, so you don't get this overlapping.
Just not the network, but also just anything, any plan. You should plan for all your cloud.
Everything.
Yeah, right, everything. That's big key. I agree.
Including the regions, but maybe you're ahead and you're going to talk about that, Julian. That's why I just said network timing, just to not. Go ahead.
Absolutely correct. And in terms of the second point I wanted to take is that we wrote even a white paper because we did investigate and we did a performance test on how the Oracle database on OCI compares to database on other clouds and compared to the Oracle database on other clouds. And probably you'll be amazed by the final result, but looking at the total cost of ownership, so paper buy is the ratio between Oracle database running on OCI on Autonomous was about 100% cheaper than running the Oracle database on another cloud. And not twice, not 5 times, 100 times cheaper. This is documented, all the results. It's an official paper. You can find it on Accenture.com. And the comparison was like to like. So we did not want to tune the databases, although we could. That also were vanilla applications. We ran a 60-minute test. Actually, 90 minutes, we eliminate the first 15 and the last 15 minutes. And we did it several times. Around 2 Oracle CPUs for Autonomous Database, same compared to other cloud where 1 OCPU equals to 2 virtual CPUs. Eventually, when you look at the price, what you pay for 1 query, because we are running workloads consisting both of DML and select statements, so all type of hybrid workloads, updating, deleting data, inserting data, running reports, we figured out that the price for 1 query on the Oracle database using Autonomous Database was about 100 times cheaper than the same on a competing cloud. That's amazing. I mean, when I heard it for the first time, I was thinking, is this really 100 times? Yes, it is. And
doing that price per query is so insightful.
Yes, I think that is the most common and the most scientific, if we can call it scientific, to measure total cost of ownership, price, performance altogether.
So I think you mentioned earlier some really good points, Julian. And I think another one that we're all concerned about, of course, is what are the security challenges when organizations adopt a multi-cloud strategy? Not only planning the network, but also security as well.
From cloud perspective, securing the databases, we're talking here probably mostly around the database security. Of course, you are transferring data from one cloud to another most of the time, so you need to make sure that everything, not all ports are open, and which are not needed. For example, I know of a case where someone opened a port in a subnet and opened it to the internet, and of course it got hacked. So those things should not happen. People should be very careful who has the administrative privileges for the cloud, not for only OCI, but also for the other cloud. We are talking multi-cloud. And as I said in the very beginning about related to the DBA question, DBAs need to have skills on both clouds or on three clouds. Multi-cloud does not mean always two clouds. It might mean three clouds as well. So someone who is responsible for the database security, he should be a person, a DBA, an administrator who understands all clouds involved in the multi-cloud architecture. Of course, from database perspective, you need to pay attention to simple things like passwords and auditing in the database. With 23C, now the database size has been increased to 1024 bytes. It used to be 30 bytes before Oracle 23C. And this is quite important, I would say, because you might want, especially from cloud point of view, you might have a situation with identity management when you need to have databases database passwords which have more than 30 bytes. Of course, I got the question, who would create the password of 1000 bytes? Probably nobody, but I started personally to use database passwords with more than 10, 15 bytes. I make always a combination of letters, all types of symbols, letters, special characters, numbers, uppercase, lowercase. Long gone are the times when we had passwords like system manager and syschange on install.
And welcome one.
And welcome one. And welcome
My
one.
favorite.
That is correct. And also auditing, I'd say once you are in the cloud, I would recommend to audit all activities in the database or all activities that you find important. Although it might sound in the beginning useless and just gathering a lot of rows in the audit tables, still at some points, this might be a very precious information for the corporations.
So I think this is a good lead up to the next question, Suzanne.
I think so, yeah. I mean, so how is Oracle helping Oracle customers by implementing best practices and by doing so, enabling cloud tooling and cloud automation to help customers?
Well, I think all the tools that Oracle are providing now from cloud point of view related to patching, to creating, for example, the maximum availability architecture using a standby database in a different availability domain or in a different region. You've probably seen that those things are done with clicking a button simply for creating, for example, a standby database. It might take just one click, and that's really one click of a button to create a standby database.
And the other thing was, sorry, Julie, the other thing I was thinking about when you're talking about security is data safe. That really is almost like a free tool or service in our cloud, because we were talking about who has what privileges, and data safe can not only find out what kind of privileges are assigned to the users, but lots of other database security functionality.
Definitely, we skipped data safe. It's an important tool, if we can call it tool, or a set of tools in Oracle Cloud. You rather use it, enable it, and use it. Tuning in the cloud, I would say that the Oracle database is exceptionally good in providing tools for tuning the database. Here I can very claim that if you think of any other database, and I don't want to name, but any other database, and if we combine 4 or 5 databases, they wouldn't have the tools that the Oracle database is offering for DBAs for performance tuning. Actually, now with the autonomous database, a lot of things are also happening automatically in the database. I'll give you just probably a couple of examples. There are which people might call artificial intelligence, machine learning, but internally in the database, and I am saying that as a non-Oracle employee, probably know better, but there are probably close to 1,000 ways documented ways when an Oracle database can crash. So internally, the probability for crashing of the database is being calculated, and there is a very small threshold. We're talking single digits. When this threshold is reached, then the Oracle database, actually the pluggable database, will be unplugged from the container, will be plugged to another container, and this is seamless to the user. Nobody will know, not even the DBA will notice that there is a new, the pluggable database is running on a different container, on a different machine. That eliminates, of course, the chance of the database crashing. And of course, all the different tools within the database, advisors, there are probably more than a dozen of advisors in the database that can help you tune memory and all the components of the database, all structures. Basically, that's it. I don't think any other database can offer what the database can, what the Oracle database can offer.
Okay, so I know you talked a lot about this at the beginning, our Oracle Converged database. So specifically, what are the Oracle Converged database benefits for reducing fragmentation, real-time processing, and accuracy of data? You know, that is something, is accuracy of data. Just for a second, I want to talk about, we were having a discussion with other product managers, and we've heard some customers say, you know, those other databases are good enough from database. I'll tell you what, I really want my data to be accurate, whatever application I access as a customer, but I'm hoping that our customers are also very concerned that data accuracy is also implemented within the Oracle database. And I think that we do that very well. We've always had the acid test in Oracles for as long as, so being in Oracle for so long, we've always strived to make sure that whatever transactions you're running, they're always accurate and that the right transactions stay together.
Well, with the Converged database, I would say, let me compare it to other databases, especially with specialized databases. So because we can think of the Oracle Converged database as a collection of specialized databases. And there is a major problem when using specialized databases. That's what we witness among clients. That approach creates an application architecture that is both heterogeneous and distributed. It's built from so many moving parts that are very difficult to be learned by DBAs, by developers, difficult to be synchronized, secured, maintained, and governed. You fragment the data and the application, and it makes application development more and more complex, and not to mention also that it compromises security and also the quality of service. So specialized databases have another issue. They provide very limited acidity, autonomy, consistency, isolation, durability, and also the data security further complicates the development of those applications. And as a consequence of the fact that those specialized databases are incomplete, there is one important thing that comes into question. Should developers focus on integration or on innovation? What happens in that they must focus more on integration instead of innovation. And the converged support from Oracle, as I mentioned a while ago, is for all modern data types. It really simplifies the application development. It eliminates both the data and the application fragmentation. And you can think of it as the best of breed for all. You think of JSON, Mongo, then MongoDB, rather JSON than MongoDB. You have faster graphs than Neo4j. And you have unique transactions and queries that span any data and make it easy to create values across all data types. The Oracle database supports all data types, any workloads. The Converged database supports all modern transactions. It has the unique ability to run any combinations of workloads or any combinations of data. And it's a complete database for any development style of applications. I would say that unique architectural support exists for all containers, events, REST, local, SaaS. It's a long list. And not to mention that at least the clients we have, they run mission-critical databases, mission-critical applications. Oracle Converged database supports all the complete scaling and reduces the risk of modern applications. You have Exadata for performance. You have Rack for scaling out. You have parallel SQL for parallelism. You have even in-memory for analytics. And even after 12s, you have sharding for hyperscaling. So basically, it says it all. I would say that the Oracle converged database, you can think of it as a Swiss Army knife. And the last sentence here on that topic probably would be that creating such a complete database, fully complete database, it has taken for you, Oracle, decades of effort. And I would say hundreds, if not thousands of engineers.
That's right.
We agree.
Okay, Julian. So the second use case that we want to talk about is that Oracle has structured its, its cloud pricing, in particular to harness the price performance that you went into great detail about. Excuse me, about the harnessing the price performance. Sorry. And how we'd like to just have a quick discussion now on how its license models help customers with the cloud adoption challenges, how they make it easier to move to the cloud and more affordable by really by simplifying the way customers purchase and consume cloud services. So let's talk about this topic: Oracle license mitigation, cost benefits, and vendor lock-in, and how Oracle fares to other clouds. And this is from your perspective after working with the Oracle database for decades and working with a rich amount of Accenture clients for many decades as well.
Well, here I can give you probably an example. It's a long topic. Licensing is a long topic. As far as I know, one of the longest documents in Oracle is the Oracle licensing documentation. But if we concentrate only on the database,
please.
The Oracle database, because otherwise we can spend a couple of hours on that topic. But the Oracle database runs on if you run the Oracle database on any cloud, but Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and I'm talking about supported clouds because there are clouds which are not supported by Oracle Corporation in terms of licensing and support, you have to pay twice more for the licensing of Oracle, for the subscriptions you pay for licensing of Oracle. And subscriptions are on CPU basis. So you pay for one OCPU. One OCPU equals on other clouds to 2 virtual CPUs. So what actually you pay for one Oracle CPU on the Oracle Cloud is equal to 4 virtual Oracle CPUs. Virtual CPUs on examples would be AWS or Azure. So client example, you have 2 options when you migrate your database, your Oracle database, to non-OCI environment. You have to either purchase double more licenses, or you have to decrease into 2 the number of CPUs in your database. Say that you run an Oracle database with 16 CPUs on-prem, you move it to either Azure or AWS, and you don't want to acquire new licenses for the other CPUs. The only thing that you can do is instead of 16 CPUs, you run it on 8 CPUs. Well, some clients do it, and then they need consultancy help to fix the performance, because it's one thing to run an Oracle database on 16 CPUs, totally different if you reduce the number of CPUs into 2. You would always, I would say, always would fall into this problem of not performing the same way like before. And usually when you move to cloud, of course, you'd like even to get better performance. So the dilemma comes, do I purchase more licenses and move my database to Azure or AWS, or do I run my database on the Oracle Cloud? Of course, it's rhetorical questions. Of course, the answer is OCI, because it would make sense in terms of licensing, performance, stability, and support.
So Julian, I was actually going to ask you as the next question, what the advantages when migrating on-premises Oracle databases are to OCI and the license advantages as well. But I think you've covered that quite well in your introduction there. So I think we can move on to that question, Tammy.
Okay, thanks. So this is the last question, Julian. You talked about vendor lock-in very early on, about including the cost of getting data in and out of the cloud. How does Oracle compare to other database cloud providers? Because I think that is, since we're sharing data across clouds, I think that is a big concern, right?
Well, it's clearly, for me at least, that the lock-in would probably be with other specialized databases than with Oracle. If, for example, you move your data to a system or a database system, which is, say, a non-Oracle on some other clouds, you'll face two issues. The first one will be the egress charges. And the second one will be the way how you can really move your data once out into another database. The first issue, egress charges. On Oracle Cloud, and this is the only cloud where you have free egress charges up to 10 terabytes a month for one tenancy. And if you would like to, if you go above the 10 terabytes a month for one tenancy, which is quite a lot of information, quite a lot of data, then the price for 1 gigabyte is approximately 2 cents for 1 gigabyte. This is for Europe and North America. According to the price list,
the region, that's right.
Oracle.com, yes, it's region dependent. It would be around 4 cents on some locations like Asia, Japan, and Australia. And I think if you go to Middle East or Africa, it will go to 5 cents. Those are small sums of money. If you, for instance, prefer to run your database on Oracle database or any database on Amazon and AWS or say Azure, then you have to pay for the egress charges. And that's why probably companies like Zoom and 8x8, they decided to choose OCI. So this is point number one, is the egress charges. What else? It is, in terms of licensing, we already discussed licensing. I would say about lock-in. If you have the Oracle database on OCI, you can very easily extract the data. You have several tools. You can take dump with Datapub. You can take a backup with RMN. You can always restore this RMN backup even in a different operating system. If you have a dump, you can dump it into any operating system from one version to another. If you think of other databases, and I don't want to go into a specific list of names, but in most of the cases, and I'm telling you from personal experience, what we've been doing, you have to dump every table onto a flat file, onto a text file, FTP those files like in the 90s, and import the data. Imagine how difficult, painstaking work this is. It's really time-consuming, tedious, painstaking work. So those are the two main reasons why I wouldn't consider Oracle database lock-in. Exactly the opposite, Tammy and Susan.
Thank you, Julian.
Yeah,
I think this has been, we've had some great questions and you've provided some great answers for us today. So we really appreciate your time coming on and talking with us today on multi-cloud. So,
thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. So why don't we wrap up our session today? So first of all, if you're looking for some multi-cloud resources, get out your phone and scan this QR code or take a look at our link here, our short link here. And this will take you to this page with some multi-cloud resources. And in fact, you'll also see the Accenture white paper to multi-cloud and beyond. So please take a look at that. And we're really appreciative of Julian, Accenture, our partner, and all of our resources that we have available for you today. Also, we have an external Slack channel in case you haven't heard about it. Join us on our external Slack channel. We have some really interesting chat bots on our Slack channel. So if you're in the cloud and you want to have any questions about DBaaS CLI or OCI CLI, we have some great chat bots for you to take a look at that our team has delivered as well. And I think we've had some great Q&A today. So I just want to end it here again and thank Julian very much. Thank you, Suzanne, as always, for putting together this great content and for everybody joining us today. If you have any questions or you'd like to see specific topics talked about on our multi-cloud AskTom session, email tammy.bednar or suzanne.holiday@oracle.com. We would love to share those with you. Okay, so with that, we'll sign off, and I hope that you join us next month on our multi-cloud happenings discussion. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.
Thanks, Sam.